Hey there, I'm Dr. Andrew Snyder. I'm a professor of philosophy and theology. I'm the host of the Mythic Mind podcast, and I'm the founder of the Mythic Mind Fellowship, which is a collaborative group of Christians who are broadly interested in the humanities. At the time of recording this, we're about 50 strong. It's a good group, and I think there's a lot of potential for what we can do here. But for now, I am excited to announce 4 brand new upcoming courses coming out of the Mythic Mind banner. 3 of them will be led by me, and 1 of them will be led by our second ever course creator, Hannah Gilmore. If any of these courses interest you, I welcome your questions, and I certainly welcome your early enrollment as well. Your early investment in these courses is going to help us to return that investment by making these into the highest quality possible. But of course, we need some funding in order to afford that time. I've really enjoyed building communities around these independent studies, and I would love to do more of this. It's my goal to eventually do this sort of thing full time. And if we get the right enrollment numbers early on here, that can happen sooner rather than later. Which would mean I would be able to invest in building out what we can offer you, and you would have an even more robust array of options before you. But for now, I would like to go ahead and introduce you to the next Mythic Mind courses of 2025. When you go to the roots of the word philosophy, you find the love of wisdom, which unfortunately is not what you find at the roots of all who call themselves philosophers. Now, how do we get here? What are the ideas that shape our world, and what can the old world tell us in response to the perennial questions of what it means to be human, what is our purpose, and what, if anything, ought we aspire to? In a brief history of ideas, we will navigate major epics of thought and survey some of the most important figures in the Western canon, including Plato, Aristotle, Boethius, Augustine, Anselm, Aquinas, Descartes, Nietzsche, Sartre, and Kierkegaard. And of course, we will consider even more names, but these are the thinkers that will supply our primary readings. Each week will include primary sources that will be provided as PDFs, although these are all texts that do belong in your personal library. You'll be recommended some secondary texts, you'll be provided with some recorded presentations for you to watch at your leisure, ongoing Discord chats, and weekly live meetings to discuss the readings. I've been teaching philosophy for many years, and I can say with confidence that you will leave this 6-week course with a better understanding of the foundations of Western thought than most contemporary philosophy majors. Enroll today by going to patreon.com/mythicmind and checking out the shop, or you can gain access to all courses, past, present, and any course that begins during the term of your subscription by purchasing a Tier 3 annual subscription. So again, purchase a Tier 3 annual subscription, and I'll give you a special code that gives you access to all courses that either have taken place or do start in this term. And I sincerely hope to see you there. I have always, at least ever since I can remember, had a kind of longing for death. It was when I was happiest that I longed most. It was on happy days when we were up in the hills, the 3 of us, with the wind and the sunshine, where you couldn't see Glome or the palace. Do you remember? The color and the smell, and looking across at the gray mountain in the distance. And because it was so beautiful, it set me longing, always longing. Somewhere else there must be more of it. Everything seemed to be saying, "Psyche, come." But I couldn't come, and I didn't know where I was to come to. It almost hurt me. I felt like a bird in a cage when the other birds of its kind are flying home. And now I will make answer to you, O my judges, and show that he who has lived as a true philosopher has reason to be of good cheer when he is about to die, and that after death he may hope to receive the greatest good in the other world. For I deem that the true disciple of philosophy is likely to be misunderstood by other men. They do not perceive that he is ever pursuing death and dying. And if this is true, why, having had the desire of death all his life long, should he regret the arrival of that which he has always been pursuing and desiring? The longing of Plato and the control of the Stoics pervades Lewis's retelling of the Cupid and Psyche myth until we have faces. With this incredible novel, which he believed to be his best, Lewis demonstrates the tensions in ancient thought and, even more significantly, the limits of rational philosophy, which can only go as deep as the foxes can dig. Beyond that, under that, and providing the life of that thought, we find the dark and holy places that blind our faculties of reason. What then shall we do? This is a topic that we will explore after first surveying some important philosophical contributions in the ancient world that have had some significant bearing on Lewis's great novel. To this end, we will begin with Plato's Phaedo, which discusses the immortality of the soul and what those who love wisdom might expect in the life to come. And then we will spend 4 weeks with some of the great Stoics, including Epictetus, Emperor Marcus Aurelius, and Seneca. Finally, we will turn our attention to Till We Have Faces for the final 2 weeks with original content, and so this will not be the same as what you may have seen in the Fiction and Philosophy of C.S. Lewis course. Each week of this 8-week study will include readings from primary sources that will be provided as PDFs, although these are all texts that belong in your personal library. You'll be provided with recommendations for secondary readings, you'll have recorded presentations for you to watch at your leisure, ongoing Discord chats, and weekly live meetings to discuss the readings. Enroll today by going to patreon.com/mythicmind and checking out the shop, or you can gain access to all courses, past, present, and future this year by purchasing a Tier 3 annual subscription. I hope to see you there. I don't play many video games these days, but there are certain titles that have stuck with me, enchanting the mind of my youth and never entirely fading away. One of the chiefs among these titles is the Elder Scrolls, namely Morrowind, Oblivion, and Skyrim. The level of artistry, mythology, and lore of this universe is vast, and provides a strong representative for asking the question as to how video games might relate to literature as an art form. Where might it rise to such a level? Where must it fall short? And what unique advantages does it possess? For this 8-week study, we'll be seeking to answer these questions while analyzing various elements of this franchise, specifically focusing on content related to Morrowind, Oblivion, and Skyrim. We'll be taking a look at the philosophy of RPGs and considering the philosophical implications of character creation and formation in an open-ended series such as this. And we'll be looking at the relationship between in-game, religion, lore, and ideas with our primary world, philosophical, and religious concepts. Each week will include 1 to 2 videos addressing these topics, ongoing Discord conversations, and live meetings. You are also encouraged to spend at least a little time playing one of these titles each week as a launching pad for conversation. Join us in Tamriel that we might better understand our primary life here on Mundus. Enroll today by going to patreon.com/mythicmind and checking out the shop. Or you can access all courses, past, present, and any that begin during your subscription period if you purchase a Tier 3 annual subscription. Get that Tier 3 annual subscription and I'll give you that special code for your All Access Pass. I hope to see you there.
Hello everyone, or in Latin, Salete omnes. My name is Hannah Gilmore, and if you're looking at my Patreon right now, you're probably here to learn more about the introductory Latin course I'll be teaching this summer to the Mythic Mind Fellowship. This course will last from May 11th to the end of July for a total of 12 weeks and will cover the basics of Latin grammar and vocabulary, as well as interweaving them with Roman history and culture. I'm making this video to introduce myself and to share a little bit about this course, so you can determine whether it will be a worthwhile investment for you. I'm an undergraduate student studying humanities and classical education, and when I graduate, I plan to teach Latin in the middle and high school level in a classical school setting. I have loved Latin since my first day of Latin class in my fall semester of my freshman year of high school, and since then it has been a wellspring of joy to study and to teach. I have experienced tutoring students of all Latin levels, as well as teaching a 15-week in-person introductory Latin course using all of my own curriculum, practice, and resources. I believe that Latin should be taught in an interactive manner. There's been an abundance of academic research in recent years showing that writing, speaking, and listening to a foreign language increase reading fluency. Unfortunately, some people are under the impression that because Latin is a dead language, meaning that it is no longer spoken natively, students do not need to practice communicating in Latin. Although it is true that there aren't any Romans around today to communicate with, communicative exercises such as writing in Latin help students to read and to understand the Latin language better. Therefore, when teaching the Mythic Mind Introductory Latin course, I will not merely utilize translation and grammar exercises, but will also incorporate activities that require writing, speaking, and listening. To get into the practical details of what the course will include, here's what each week will incorporate. 1 main grammar video, one Roman history or Roman culture video, one vocabulary list with approximately 30 new words per week. This will add up to 360 core vocabulary words learned by the end of the course, not counting the bonus vocabulary lists. In addition, I will have a vocabulary video where I read aloud the vocabulary words, and digital vocabulary flashcards each week so that you can practice your vocabulary efficiently. Additionally, there will be one live meeting each week for questions and discussion, one weekly homework document that I'll provide feedback on, one video with guided story translation, where I will select an authentic story or write an original Latin story, read it out loud to you, and then guide you through translating it. Additionally, there will be one optional enrichment project each week that can be presented at the weekly meeting. This is for those of you with the time and energy to devote some extra effort to Latin and will involve you practicing speaking and writing Latin. Additionally, there will be independent practice assignments and answer keys for each new grammar topic so you can practice what you've learned in the weekly grammar video. There will be cheat sheets and notes for major grammar concepts, a live Discord chat for questions and discussion throughout the week, a bonus vocabulary list to supplement each weekly list. Your access to these materials will not terminate after the course is over, so you can continue to review your Latin using these resources. Additional resources I will provide include final study guide covering all grammar topics that I will provide feedback on if you submit it before the end of the course, Latin pronunciation guide, a document with recommended extra resources including textbooks, study materials, dictionaries, YouTube channels, etc., so you can continue to further your Latin studies. If you have any further questions about this Latin course, please message me on Patreon. I sincerely hope to see you in the Latin course this summer. Thank you.